Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Welcome to July 1st. Jeez. July 1, ladies and gentlemen. They just keep on coming. Good morning to you. I'm Lynn Cullen. It's a Tuesday, a sultry Tuesday here. And, this is the day when my sister Susan joins us, except she's not answering.
That's the wrong phone number.
She's not answering her phone. Is that what? Do you even know how to pick that up? Well, I guess she is now in the building. So we'll see if we can get her. Okay. Obviously, we're going to spend some time talking about I hate the name of this case. The Hobby Lobby case. What a stupid. Susan?
Yes.
Where were you?
My phone was on silent.
Well, that's a slight problem. Yeah.
And then I said, why haven't they called? And I looked and I went, oops.
Yeah, I said to Jess, this isn't like Susan. She's very responsible. Oh, no, they're starting that dang. Oh, here it goes, the strobe light effect. We're doing a
Oh,
fire.
No. Close your eyes.
I am. They're closed. So, Susan.
Yes.
Would you like to share your personal good news with...
Well, you mean why my phone's on silent? My phone is on silent so as not to disturb my wonderful new grandson.
Yay! So you're at the house?
No, not actually.
I see.
I'm at my daughter's at the moment,
and your
giving
grandson...
giving the new parents a little
break.
A little space
from the ecstatic grandmother
and great grandmother.
You have our mother in tow, and has she?
Yes, I ran to Green Bay and picked up Mother and brought her back, and Mom has pronounced the child, who is going to remain nameless in the sense of propriety,
privacy,
but
yes.
She has pronounced him really quite perfect, which I have to admit he is.
Oh, yeah, right. And these are coming from two sources who are totally unbiased in this judgment.
Well, I sent you a picture. Is that not one of the most beautiful children you've ever seen?
Yes. He's gorgeous. He is. He's a very beautiful child. He is. He is. But, I mean, everybody, Suze.
I know.
All grand.
I know. But what were those? I heard a couple of nurses recently. One who said to a new mother, "What a beautiful baby," and the mother said, "You say that to all the new mothers," and she says, "No, sometimes I just say that's a baby."
Jeez. Well, I have spoken in the past of coming upon, someone with a baby, and the baby is just, I'm sorry, plug ugly. I mean, the homeliest looking little wizened mess of a human. It doesn't mean they're not going to grow up to be fine looking, but some people don't start off looking too hot. And I just couldn't even, I couldn't say what you always say. I just couldn't. I don't think I said that's a baby, but I think I just said, if you just say, oh, what I'm really thinking is, oh, you poor thing. Because, most newborns don't look too hot. And
No.
It's true, your grandchild came out looking...
My grandchild came out looking sort of 3 days old.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
Didn't...
He did. He didn't have that look.
Right.
That look of, where the hell am I? What's going on? Can you imagine being, I guess we all were.
Well, he does have a little bit of that look. He clearly is wondering
what happened. What happened to that nice, warm place I was? What is this? Okay. Well, we're all...
Now, enough of that, but yes,
Yeah.
I am a happy new grandmother.
Good. So do happy grandmothers pay attention to the news?
Well, one could not help but pay attention to yesterday's news, and it's actually sort of riled me up so much that I was up constructing, legal arguments to turn this thing on its head, and I've come up with one.
Okay. Well, okay. Can I just give you my one argument I have, and this is via Ruth Bader Ginsburg's dissent?
Yes.
No, I can't because I can't find... Oh, yeah, here it is. Sorry. She notes that this is the first time that the Supreme Court of this country has exempted a for-profit corporation from a law that is applicable to everybody, and has done so on religious grounds for a for-profit corporation. Never has that happened. Okay, then let me just read what she says, and then you can do your harangue.
Okay.
The absence of such a precedent is just what one would expect. For the exercise of religion is characteristic of natural persons. She has to say natural persons. What she means
That's right.
is people,
right?
Not corporation. The exercise of religion is something that people do, natural persons do, not artificial legal entities. And then she goes further and says, indeed, approving some religious claims while deeming others unworthy of accommodation could be perceived as favoring one religion over another.
Right, because, if we have an owner that believes in Sharia law and catches one of his people shoplifting, well...
You could take their hand off, huh? Well, or even more, the justices went out of their way trying to say this is a narrow opinion, saying it does not apply to vaccinations or to blood transfusions, which you could argue, okay, so what is he saying? So if you're a Christian Scientist owner...
Right, then you aren't allowed to do this.
Then you can't do it. But this Christian guy, who we recognize his specific brand of Christianity because it dovetails with our own.
And his specific belief.
Right. So right there, even in this opinion, by saying this wouldn't apply in the case of blood transfusions.
No, they're doing everything wrong in this decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, but
what was your...
Are you done, or you want to continue?
No, I'm done. But I think that's the crux of
right.
Of her.
So where I was thinking, taking that, because of course that's where you start. Okay, this is another one of these stupid corporations are people things.
Right.
Now we've taken it so far that the corporation is the people that own it, because it is a closely held corporation. That was another one of their little things.
Right.
Okay, so now let's go back to why do families that want to own a business incorporate?
Why?
Well, they incorporate to get the benefits of being a corporation, one of which it shields them from liability personally. The corporation takes on the liability.
Okay.
So, if I'm a billionaire owner of Hobby Lobby, and I own virtually all of the stock, certainly all, sufficient stock that I am in total control of my closely held, defined by law, corporation.
Yeah.
And I do this in order to shield myself. Now the Supreme Court comes along and says, yeah, but you're really the same thing. Precisely because you are a closely held corporation. That corporation is really just you. And therefore, we will uphold your views. Now, I'm a customer. I come into Hobby Lobby. I fall. Oh, I really hit my head on something hard. I'm badly brain damaged. I don't want to sue the corporation. I want to sue that family. And I have the Supreme Court saying they're the same thing.
So
I'm just suggesting that the next time something goes wrong at Hobby Lobby and somebody wants to sue them for some reason, go straight to the family.
Because you're saying that what Alito's
Because the Supreme Court has already told you that they're one and the same.
That the corporation...
That family pierced the corporate veil before I did. That's what it's calling, piercing the corporate veil, getting to the owners behind it. They left themselves wide open. They took a knife and they slit it right through that veil.
Because they said, we are, in fact...
We are the corporation. These are our beliefs, and the corporation has our beliefs because it's really us.
It's us. Let's not kid around. It's us. And
let's not kid around. It's us. Okay, let's not kid around. It's you.
Geez, that's a good one, Suze. I wonder how... I'm sure that...
if I were still practicing law, all you guys out there looking for the big one and studying a little precedent at the same time, hang outside the Hobby Lobby, in the parking lot.
Rob Rogers, our political cartoonist, had a good one today about this, and he has, them saying, Alito saying, this is this is really just a very narrow decision. It only applies. And then
that's also a problematic
I know,
law.
but he says
you're not supposed to do that. Go ahead.
It only applies, and then he's got a guy holding up a diagram of a woman's innards. It only applies to, and it points to uteruses.
Right.
It's a narrow decision that only applies to a certain part of a woman's body.
Well, or as has been printed, it just clearly says that corporations are more people than women are.
Yeah, women really come out on this is, the Supreme Court values
corporations
over women, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And seems to value corporations over just ordinary people. Because I heard someone say yesterday, I don't know even what I was listening to, someone said, this is one of those decisions that shows you that the court, this majority, these five, really they have feeling, real genuine empathy and feeling for the 1%'s problems, for these corporate people.
Well, really what it shows is that they are bad justices. They are
horrible.
Simply bad justices because a justice is supposed to, as much as possible,
not be ideological.
Put their personal feelings aside, look only to the law, and construct arguments thereon. And these guys are really not doing that. They are holding their fingers up to the wind, and they are saying, even with upholding, the Affordable Care Act, I think if that wasn't him holding his finger up to the wind, I don't know what was.
The thing is,
and now they're backing back. Now they're appeasing the other side, and they're making the Supreme Court more of a political entity than it should be. These are people, so it's always going to be there a little bit. But these guys are just pushing an agenda, and it's offensive.
There was a Gallup poll done, I believe, a day or two ago, even before this ruling came out, and the American people's faith in the Supreme Court is at the lowest point it has ever been.
Because they've made it an out-and-out political institution.
2/3 of Americans don't have much faith that the court will do its job in a judicious manner. And, this court, again, talk about this court is there for the 1%, for corporations. And look at what that mindset has done. It has totally further corrupted our political system with its Citizens United decision, which allowed the 1% to flood elections with their money. And that was also done because they said corporations were people and had every right to involve themselves in electoral politics, just like you do. But, I don't have $100 million or $100 billion like the Koch brothers do. So they care very much about they did that saying a corporation has the freedom of speech. So these corporate entities to the court, they speak like humans, they have faith like humans, but as you point out, they all of a sudden become unhuman when
it's time to protect the humans behind them.
Yeah.
They're avatars.
They're shapeshifters. They sort of go wherever it's advantageous to be. They're either human or not, given and that this bunch of smarty pants, these aren't idiots there on that court. These smarty pants can argue this.
Well, that's, excuse me, but that's what a lawyer is trained to do. To advocate for a point of view. Why, I don't know.
That's not what a judge is supposed to do.
That is not what a judge is supposed to do, but these guys are all trained lawyers. It might be a good argument for why, because there's no real requirement that you need to be an attorney to be on the Supreme Court.
Right. We have a call. Let's get the caller in. Hello, caller.
Hey, Lynn, Susan.
Hi.
George Ramon.
Hi, George.
Couple comments. I find it interesting that in these court decisions here, especially the one with the Hobby Lobby, which we've been anticipating for some time, is that only, it was a report on NPR this morning, a couple dozen women showed up in a Chicago protest yesterday. This is all about women.
Yeah.
And if young women today are not outraged by this and get deadly serious about protecting their rights, this is going to continue like this.
Right.
I agree with you.
I do too.
Just stunning. A couple dozen women. Now, maybe it has to gain a little momentum and the word has to get out, but young women need to be informed about this kind of stuff, that corporations are deciding their physical health. I mean,
whatever happened to the doctor? Wasn't a woman now has to go?
Doctors are cowards.
Has to go to her boss.
Like, I'm not surprised about their, their not standing up and having courage to resist this. I mean, there was this national health outfit that judged that this should be part of the national health plan of providing contraceptive health for women and everything. But that's the only one that I heard of that stood up and said that should be a part of a woman's general health plan and everything. But, the fact that women are going to be swallowing what corporations tell them to do in their mental and physical health is just astounding to me, that they need to wake up and fight back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh, you're absolutely right.
And one other thing I wanted to say about this. It seems to me the Supreme Court wants to have their cake and eat it, too, on the religious sentiments of corporations. In crafting this to be a narrow opinion, or a narrowly focused judgment,
right,
of saying that this is only about Hobby Lobby in this particular case and only about a couple drugs and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you read the rest of the judgment, it says that as to other cases that would involve other religions and other religious sentiments of corporations, they will deal with those as they come on a as-case basis.
And they will come.
Yes, and that is the big part of this story.
Yeah.
They can call it narrowly crafted and get away with it for now, but the tide of the other ones will come. And this is such a convoluted judgment. It just astounds me that they can craft this like this as a broad Supreme Court judgment. Just astounds me that there aren't religious leaders standing up and saying, you're preferring religions on a case-by-case basis and supporting them.
Well, that's what
the Constitution.
That's right. That's what Ginsburg said. You guys have done now. You have, and she went on to say, the court. Excuse me while I choke. The court has ventured into a minefield.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, Susan, your sentiments are perfectly correct. These jurists are low quality.
Yeah.
They're definitely low quality, starting with Justice Thomas, Alito, and Roberts, and Scalia are the lowest of the low quality, I think. We have midget judges now who do not see the broad picture and the broad big issues in this. They are poor jurists. And no wonder they hide behind not wanting to have cameras in there to see their minuscule minds.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't ever say enough said. No, you can't say that on this program because we always have more to say.
I think part of the problem is that they don't have minuscule minds, except for maybe Thomas. But,
that's right. They're smart. They're smart.
Yeah.
So Beth writes, and this is a good one. Lynn, with these rulings, no company should be able to file Chapter 11. They should just get a death certificate. And she goes on to say, this is the problem when you have only 2 law schools represented on the Supreme Court. What is that, Harvard and Yale?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, probably.
But I mean, thank God for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If you want to see, what women can do, look at Ruth. She's really something.
She's really something, and she's battled through cancer and this and that, and I think she buried her husband, and she's amazing.
And she's sharp as a tack.
And
too.
she weighs about 65 pounds, I think.
I know.
Wow. I'd put her up against any of those guys on the court, those SOBs. So this was an interesting decision too. And I pointed this out yesterday, Susan. All 5 that gave us this wonderful decision are Catholics. Catholic.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, Catholic men.
Right.
All the women on the court, on the other side. You think diversity isn't important? You think it doesn't play out? Yeah. All the Jews are in the 4. All the women, all the Jews. There's only one Catholic in the dissent, and that is Sotomayor. Unbelievable. And, okay. I think we got to take a break, actually. Okay. We will, take a little bit of a hiatus, a minute or so. Be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Packers.
Vikings. We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown. We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full. But when we live united, we make a real difference in the building blocks of life. Children succeed in school, families gain financial stability, the health of our neighbors improves, and suddenly so do our communities. Real change won't happen without you.
Live united.
So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up today at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Susan just said, that really was a good-looking baby, because I've sent her a picture. Yeah. It's true. So, one other thing, I just want to quote our local columnist Tony Norman's piece, his last paragraph. It is interesting that the only time corporations ever cop to having any semblance of a conscience is when the reproductive options of women are at stake. Where is a corporation's finely tuned religious convictions when it comes to protecting the environment or ensuring the integrity of our food supply or paying workers a living wage? If a corporation has any religion at all, it involves a golden calf and the commandment to maximize profits at all costs.
No, right. I mean, that's the whole thing with Hobby Lobby owning stock in all these companies that it won't let its employees use the products of.
What? I don't know about this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. In their portfolios, they hold stock of the very companies that manufacture the products that they so disapprove of. So on the one hand, they profit.
Wait a minute. They own stock in, like, pharmaceuticals that make...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do they really? How's that known? How's that known what they have stock?
Oh, there's articles about it all. It's just the hypocrisy of Hobby Lobby.
Oh, Hobby Lobby. What a stupid name! Excuse me. Sorry, I just...
It's my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's, favorite store.
Oh, well, fine. And I really think a lot of people, hobbyists all, who want to get supplies should definitely...
Go to Pat Catan's.
Go to who?
Pat Catan's.
Pat Catan's.
Go to the dollar store. Go to
Michael's. Go online.
Go to a privately owned little craft shop.
Yeah. Go to a closely held little something somewhere. Yes. Really? Don't enrich these jerks. Hobby Lobby. Okay. And Susan, also on Women's Health Front, there's news today. This comes from the American College of Physicians. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Routine pelvic exams do not benefit women, and they can, in fact, cause harm. So the American College of Physicians has recommended that doctors quit using them. So that you and I have grown up and go. Guys, you have no idea what you're missing.
You have no idea. I've been on strike for a while.
Have you?
I am.
Well, it turns out you're ahead of it. You don't have to go. They say it is bull. This is what, and here's what's interesting. Meanwhile, the American College of OB-GYNs still recommends yearly pelvic exams. Well, of course they do. It's their bread and butter.
How are they going to test? Wait a minute. How are they going to test for cervical cancer, though?
They say that this is not a good test for cervical cancer, and the false negatives cause as much harm to women as...
so it's like mammograms.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good.
They say
that's just answered a smoldering question for me.
Okay, Pap smears, it says, used to be done yearly, but now they're recommended only every 3 to 5 years. So if women weren't going through that test every year, did they still need a pelvic exam that traditionally accompanied it? And they're saying absolutely not.
And it really is. I mean, I don't know anyone that doesn't call it their annual violation.
I hate it. And they say here some women are so embarrassed, anxious, discomfited by it that they simply do not ever go to see a gynecologist, which actually then can put them at risk because they fear a pelvic exam. Pelvic exams, give me a break. Guys, you have no idea. Talk about situations.
Really no idea.
Right. Talk about situations in which it's difficult to maintain your dignity. I don't know. Anyway, so
and have small talk to boot.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I just engage in small talk throughout because otherwise you just can't bear it. Ugh.
In between the part where they stick an arm out of you and then take a chunk out of whatever is up there to test.
Scraping.
At that point you go, ow!
Scraping around up there. Now I will be inserting an exceedingly cold thing.
A speculum, which we have kept in the freezer.
Yes, and... Oh, God.
Did you ever notice that our brother's journal of prehistoric literature or whatever it is he has in a PhD in is called Speculum?
No. What is speculum?
Yeah.
What does it actually mean, speculum, then?
I don't know, but I just find that there are two such diverse things named that interesting.
Well, I bet, because spectacle, speculum, it must have something to do with seeing.
It's with a look at.
And let's get a look up here. It's...
Delve into the deep speck.
Jeez, man. Lord in heaven. All right, so anyway, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Unless you're having, they do say, if you're having some kind of symptoms that aren't normal, bleeding or discharges and blah, 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 or pain, go.
But, the young women on birth control are probably going to still need to do, women on birth control, no matter what their age, are probably going to have to go show up at least to get their prescription filled. And while they're there, they're going to add something else on. This is the problem with the way we do insurance.
Right.
These docs got to get paid for procedures, and the insurance company expects to pay for it. And so, in order not to be fraudulent, they have to visit it upon the patient.
So I went to rehab yesterday, and I'm just going to this one guy. He's not part of a big. And I said, I trust him totally. And I said, so I've been thinking, having done rehab before in a rehabby kind of place, I said, you're not doing a lot of the stuff that I liked, such as putting warm things on my, wounded part of the body for a while, and then putting cold things on it for a while, and then just letting me lie around and do stuff,
That's not what you're supposed to do.
And he said, all that I get from him is pain. And so he said, none of that is necessary. They bill that out. So when they stick that warm thing on you, which is supposedly supposed to warm up, the area we're going to work on, he said that then might get billed out at $50, $60. And then the cold pack will be billed out at $50, $60. And he said, and if you're going in because of your knee or your leg and they stick you on the bike for a half hour, you don't have to be on that bike for a half hour, but they're billing that out. They get paid.
Duh.
This is insane. Okay. This coming from... Oh, it's not from Susan. It's from Joe. Can this decision be overturned? Well, it's the Supreme Court. Now, it can be... How do you overturn? You have to have another case that comes up.
You have to have another case, and
where
you
another
have to
court
have judges that are willing to say that was a terrible
that was
decision.
Wrong.
They were wrong,
and they won't do that right away usually. So
they almost never do it. I mean, it's part of the philosophy of the court that
you don't do it.
You don't do it, but I mean, it does get done because. For one thing, times change.
Yeah, exactly. And he writes, the LGBT community is now beginning to get concerned, understandably. I was wondering about that in terms of gay rights, because a lot of religions say that, marriage is between a man and a woman and blah, 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 blah. And so why then couldn't they argue, because of this case, that they don't have to. You know what I mean? How does this not get into the homophobia that gets into so much religious belief?
Well, it's all part and parcel, and that's what this court just created, and that's what Ruth Ginsburg was talking about.
So, Joe writes...
You don't decide. The Supreme Court is simply not supposed to decide cases as if they were in a vacuum, precisely because it is the Supreme Court, and what they say carries weight and gets interpreted and applied. And so what they just did is A, antithetical to what they're supposed to do by claiming they're only doing this little thing, and B, causing great damage because that isn't how it works and that isn't how it'll happen.
Yeah. Joseph writes, the LGBT community is beginning to get concerned that based on the proposed anti-gay laws in Arizona, any business owner who claims that a gay man or woman's life is contrary to their religious beliefs can lose their job based on that alone.
Well, there's no.
This is the kind of
anti-discrimination.
Yeah.
You know, we've created a situation where you have to be. You know, once you create a class which you say has certain rights, it by definition excludes others. And what we have done in this country is keep broadening the classes that deserve equal protection under the law. And they haven't, they need a class.
Well, most corporations in this country are of this type. They are closely held. Somebody said it was 90% of all corporations are.
Sure, they are. I mean,
little...
everyone that has a little business incorporates themselves.
Right. And then a lot of big guys are closely held. But speaking of that, so that means they're not publicly. The public can't buy their stock. Is that also what it means?
Well, closely held are usually small family corporations.
Yeah, but some are big.
But some of them are larger, and it simply constitute people that hold the majority of the stock. But I don't think you can argue that Google, for example, where the owners, the original owners have all the control, and even when their stock split, they created a new class so they didn't have any voting rights, so that they didn't dilute their own voting power. I would find that hard to argue that that's a close-held corporation.
So I was trying to think of
there's a difference between being a majority stockholder and being a closely held corporation, is what I'm saying.
But I remember, for instance, the Pritzkers of Chicago.
Yeah, but that's essentially a family corporation, even though Hyatt stock, was...
They own Hyatt. They own a bunch of stuff. They were considered one of the richest families in the country. Nobody knows what they're worth because... the Pritzker Corporation is closely held.
Yeah.
And is not traded on the stock market.
Right.
So, okay, there's some big boys in here, too. Let's just make that clear, that are covered by this ruling. I think Koch brothers, no?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings me to this question. General Motors. General Motors is not a closely held corporation. General Motors has now recalled another 8.5 million.
Why don't they just say, between this decade, we didn't install one good ignition switch.
I guess not. Just everybody bring them back. Okay.
It would seem less awful if they just did that.
Now they're recalling certain models of Cadillacs, Chevy Malibus, Monte Carlos, Impalas, Oldsmobile, Aleros, Pontiac Grand Am, Grand Prix, on and on and on. So right, I guess before they made this announcement of the newest recall, it says here in the New York Times article that trading in General Motors stock was suspended on the New York Stock Exchange when the announcement was made. Now, I want to ask this question. What do you mean? You mean if you're going to have some bad news that would have a negative impact on your stock, you can get the exchange to not let anyone trade your stock?
That's sort of common with the exchange. If they expect there to be a run on stock in order to keep the whole market from blowing up, they suspend trade. They're allowed to do it for a certain amount of time, and it's as much for the protection of the people that own the stock, which is not necessarily General Motors. You know, it could be a Joe Schmo that owns some GM. It's to protect the bottom from falling out of their investment. And, you know, this happens. It does happen. It happened actually with Apple when something crazy was going on, and Apple was going up and down, and then they suspended.
All right. Okay. All right. But that's a decision made by the SEC?
Yeah.
Or the exchange, whatever.
So. Or it might be made by the individual stock exchange, you know, that upon which that probably is. But I'm sure the SEC has rules and is involved, or at least looks.
Okay. RJ from South Park says Hobby Lobby still covers vasectomies and Viagra.
Well, sure, because they don't cause abortions.
No, because that's men's health.
They just cause pregnancy.
They just cause pregnancies.
Or not.
No, they cover, Hobby Lobby will cover some contraception.
Right.
I believe.
But they won't cover IUDs. They won't cover any agent that they say. There's another thing
in their
that they believe. It doesn't have to be true.
Right.
If they believe that it might work as an abortion agent, then they don't have to cover it. And whether science or not backs that up,
right? It
according
doesn't.
to this decision, is irrelevant.
Right. It doesn't. I mean, this has to do with then. It's ludicrous. An IUD is now some instrument of the devil. Oh, God. The poor people over at Planned Parenthood must be losing their minds right now. Must be losing their minds.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to send them some money again.
You bet you are, everybody.
Everybody, just sit down and write them a check. I mean, because right now they're about the only people that are out there advocating for women's health. And, you know, and some of them are getting harmed by doing so.
Yeah. And they're getting shut down by legislatures all over the country, putting harassing, onerous, absurd rules.
You know, and I have to say in defense of doctors in this case, I mean, you know, in Missouri it's illegal for doctors to even discuss certain things. And they did sue. They did sue and say, I'm sorry, I have free speech too. And I have a duty. And they won. So, I mean, there are docs out there, you know, there's doctors that have been killed trying to help women. So, you know, this is more about politics and less about the integrity of docs.
But don't you worry, the Republican Party is not engaged in a war on women. Don't you worry, your pretty little head one whit. All right, we're taking a break because I have to count to 10. We'll be right back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
For the millions living with COPD, breathing becomes a real struggle. COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, but you may have heard of it as chronic bronchitis or emphysema. Over time, it makes it harder and harder to breathe until you feel like you're breathing through a straw. COPD is the 4th leading cause of death in the U.S. It kills 1 person every 4 minutes, and it took my grandmother. An estimated 24 million Americans are affected, but as many as half of them don't even know it. It's a race against time to spread the word about this serious disease. If you're over 35 and have ever smoked, you could be at risk. The good news is, there are steps you can take to improve your symptoms. I'm Danica Patrick, and I drive for COPD. Take action today to breathe better tomorrow. Join the movement at driveforcopd.com, take our screening questionnaire today, and talk to your doctor.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okie doke, welcome back. I'm here with my sister Susan, who's in Chicago. I just have one more little item. I came upon this piece about a documentary that was made by this Iranian, very obviously courageous director who is in that country. They won't let him travel. And they've also told him he can't do what he does, but he continues to do it. And he did a movie called Closed Curtain, and it has to do with the fact that in Iran, their whatever ruling body just banned dog walking in public.
Well, how are you supposed to dog walk privately?
Well, ain't that your problem now, missy? You can't walk your dog because they don't want people to have dogs. So you gotta, have them, I guess, do it in the house and then deal with that. Unbelievable. Dogs cannot be public. I guess they think it's too Western. It's what Westerners do. They have dogs as pets and they walk them around and whatever. Anyway, it is against the law, I did not know this, to walk a dog in public. Because the keeping of pets in general is just considered a sort of a Western affectation. Okay. So I've been thinking about that, and it breaks my heart, because you got to figure a lot of dogs are going to die because of this.
Right.
A lot of wonderful little animals. And... However, I also read, I think today, that most countries that are considered civilized not only allow birth control, but they give birth control to women in their countries. It's free. Guess what one of the countries is?
Does it start with an I?
Yeah.
and an R and an A?
Yeah, and it doesn't end in a Q.
Okay.
How can... So even the crazy ones in Iran who don't allow dog walking in public do allow contraception at no cost to the women of their country. I don't know. Do with that piece of information what you will. I don't know what to make of it myself.
Weird.
Very weird. So
or not. I mean, because maybe the men, you just have to look at it from a man's point of view. They don't want all those. They want the sex, and they don't want all those
babies,
pesky children.
Yeah. So it's probably, from a man's point of view there, it's like, we want some control here. We want to get our rocks off but not have a baby. Which is rather crudely stated, I believe.
You've been getting crude lately, my dear sister.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I think because I tend to reflect the culture. I just came up with that. I don't know. Why am I cruder?
I have no idea.
I say
it's okay, go on.
All right, but I do. I say things I wouldn't never have said before. And it's a lot more scatological, sexual, a lot of body stuff. Why is that?
I don't know.
I'm blaming it on age. It has to do with age. And
you're losing some filters. Maybe you're getting senile or something.
Oh, God, don't even say that. Oh, God, don't even say that.
Well, that's what happens.
I know I ain't as sharp as I used to be, but still, no. God, oh, my greatest fear. Anyway, so there was, I didn't bring the paper with me, so I don't have the exact numbers and stuff. But there was an article in the paper today about what it costs in-state tuition at all the public schools, universities, and colleges in the country. I guess the feds, the Department of Education, must do this every year, where they just catalog what higher education is costing, and specifically at so-called public universities. And every year, the same two schools are 1 and 2 at the top for the priciest education for the students in their state. And that has not changed. We've done it again. The University of Pittsburgh is the most...
Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Oh, note the shock. The University of Pittsburgh is number 1, and Penn State...
Yeah, I was going to say Penn State for sure, but it's because of the Wharton School. I mean, there's...
No. So what does that have to... No, it's not Penn State. That's Penn. That's different.
Oh, that's Penn, right.
That's the University of Pennsylvania. Different,
well,
and they're not...
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what...
that they get no support from the state.
That is correct. Pennsylvania, there's 2 states that are worse. And I don't know what they are. No, 3 states that are worse. But Pennsylvania, if you look at what states provide to public higher education in their states, Pennsylvania is number 47. However, so the average, if you look at all University of Wisconsin, University of Iowa, University of Indiana, all those places, and even small schools in between that are state schools, if you look at the average in-state tuition now, it's something like $7,200 a year, which is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, $7,200 a year. Pitt.
Mine was more than that.
Pitt, yeah, because you went to Pitt, you idiot. Wait
a minute.
All right, yeah, wait a minute. So here, Jess, saddled with student debt up the wazoo. So Pitt is more than twice the national average. It's something like $15,000.
It was like 14 when I went.
Yeah, Jess said it was $14,000 when she went. In state.
That's something.
That's,
I mean, I think Missouri's, I hate to say it, I'm sure Missouri's a little bit better. Maybe not much.
No, it is better. No, Missouri was not in. I saw a list of the top 10 or 20. Missouri was
there, right?
Missouri was not there. And you know what else was? A whole bunch of satellite campuses of Penn State. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
I'll make this real quick. Did you read, too, that Pennsylvania is 42nd in taking care of our elderly people?
Really? By whose account? On what
like
basis?
Government help and assistance and Medicaid, whatever they get,
Wait a
disability.
minute.
We're 42nd, so it's tough to age in Pennsylvania. Like they say, you got a friend in Pennsylvania. I don't know if that's true.
You know what else, though? That's surprising to me because so much money, like the whole lottery take, isn't that dedicated to senior citizens? Isn't that the way they sell it? Go into debt, make yourself crazy buying lottery tickets, but help senior citizens? So we're 42 in that? What a backward state we live in. Thank you.
Corbett don't help anything either.
No. Okay, thanks. Well, how depressing. The only time we're like number 1 on a list in Pennsylvania is when it has to do with the most polluted state or something like that. Crumbling bridges. We're number 1. Screwed. So
fire coming out of faucets. We're number 1.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're not spending money on higher education, on infrastructure, on our elderly, on preschool, on what the hell is the state doing with the money? What are they doing? Those are like we're talking basics here. So they're not doing the basics. The governor, by the way, was supposed to sign the budget for next year yesterday. He's refused to sign it. He's up for it.
And why? Because it's so cruel and inhuman?
It's apparently doesn't do anything to deal with the pension issues. But he's up for re-election and is considered the most likely Republican governor to go down. No tears being shed around here. But no, anything he does now is an effort to get reelected. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But my Lord, I recall the president saying maybe a year or two ago that he was going to insist that somehow there be penalties for state schools that keep upping and upping and upping and there would be some penalty for Pitt and Penn State and some of these others. And I mean, I'm thinking some of the campuses in the top 10 or 20 were like Penn State Altoona. Now, Susan.
Yes.
If you had disposable dollars and
would you spend them that way? Right.
Trying to get an education? But, a lot of people don't know. They don't know. They think, I can't afford to go anywhere, so I'll go right over here a block away is Penn State Altoona, not one of the great, universities in the world. And I will pay more than if I attended and was a resident of, some of the finest universities in the world. Some state universities are the greatest universities in the world. And they cost less than Pitt and Penn State. A lot less. But
not if you're out of state.
No, but if you live there, that's one of the reasons they're there. That there's a state school in the first place. Why even call them state schools?
If the state is not it's not that hard to qualify, residency either. If there's a school that you want to go to and you had the money to go to, Altoona, then you
go live
look around.
Go
there. You work for a year and save some money to help yourself out, and then you've established residency.
And then you can go to school. You can go to the University of Michigan, or that's considered a great school, right? Name me some others that are state schools. University of Virginia,
University of Wisconsin,
University of Wisconsin. These are considered what? Some of the California ones,
right? Any of the UC campuses.
Right.
And you'd be living in California to boot, which is great if you don't mind a little earthquake and a little landslide and a little forest fire.
Yes.
And lots of Botox.
Yes. All of that would disqualify California in my mind. It really would.
I know. You just heard why I don't ever want to.
Okay, yes. Wildfires, mudslides, earthquakes, and Botox. That sort of takes it in, and
lip injections.
Well, that goes. that Botox sort of takes that all in. I think, don't you?
No, not really. Botox means that you can't move your upper lip, and the other one means that you fashion your upper lips to look like
to look like vulvas,
something else. Like a different portion of the female anatomy.
Vagina, like a vulva, what do you call that? Is that what the vulva? No, that's not the vulva.
The labia.
The labia. I don't even know my own labia, because after all, Susan, your mouth is supposed to remind men
it's
of
just so awful.
Labia.
It's just awful. Sorry, anybody out there whom I might be offending, but I'm sure no matter what you look like, you looked better before.
Before you had those bee-stung lips.
Anyway, that's personal bias, and I should keep it to myself, because those poor plastic surgeons need to, that's when we can go back to our other. I'm sure they get paid a lot for those injections.
Oh, yeah, there was also this funny thing about the jobs that people find most gratifying. And right at the top, this was in the Atlantic. Wait, I got it here somewhere. I got to find this for you because it's funny. The headline's funny. It says, what jobs do people find most meaningful? This is the Atlantic. And that's the big headline, but the subhead is this. For meaningful work and high pay, become a doctor. For work that doesn't feel meaningful, become a lawyer.
It's absolutely true. I describe it as alternately boring and stressful.
That's right. Now, but you tend to get paid very well for it. But
yeah, I mean, in my experience,
no
one actually thinks that they should have to pay for it.
Yeah, but they did a chart, and lawyers are way up at the top, but they don't feel happy in their work. Docs, surgeons especially, report feeling like they're saving the world and they're getting rich as hell. And then there are those jobs that are like, don't give you anything. They don't give you money, and they don't give you satisfaction like you're doing something good. And those are the jobs you don't want and you want to get out of. And those are jobs generally held by women. And it's food prep, it's cashiers, it's fast food cooks. It's, sad. So a lot of, I don't think there's any doubt that people, if you have children, you want to tell them to find work that is meaningful to them as opposed to find work that is going to make you rich. Wouldn't you say that to your kid?
Yeah, actually, I did say that in one of my speeches to the graduating class. I even admitted that some of the parents wouldn't be happy with this, but I told them to figure out what it is they like to do.
And that's where
you
go.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. That because
and if you do it well and you derive pleasure from it, you should be able to make enough from it to have a good life as well.
Well, they do say that people who fall into that category are often people who are in the helping other people profession. So clergy and people who deal in social work situations who get paid next to nothing. But they feel sometimes that they're making a difference.
Well, there's all sorts of different kinds of pleasure. I mean, I'm sure people that go into, gardening and landscaping get a real thrill out of creating
it can be a passion. I agree.
Yeah. Or a guy that paints
right.
a house and takes something awful and then it's suddenly
beautiful,
looking gorgeous.
Right. People who can build things. People who can follow your heart. All right. Well, Suze, we done did it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You and Mom going over to snuggle with the kid?
We are. We're going to give him a little time, and then we'll go over.
Okay. Do you feel like the new parents are like feeling overwhelmed?
I think that new parents need a lot of time to figure out how to do it. Nice to be there to lend moral support, but they also just need time,
Figure it out. It's a slight change.
Yeah, I'm trying to be respectful. Let's just put it that way.
Good for you. Good for you. Give my love to Mom and to all family, and give that little hunk a big kiss for me.
I will. He's so cute. Okay. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye, Suze. And for the rest of you, I'll talk at you tomorrow. Hey, I might have this off. I'm going to the surgeon in a few hours. I'm going to beg him. Take this guy off of me. I can't stand it anymore. Do you think that would be a good idea? Maybe. All right, I'm sorry. What am I always apologizing for? For being crude, probably. Goodbye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.